you had some dealings with the Mexican Mafia, but the Mexican Mafia connection for you wasn't in prison. That happened prior to that in Arizona, right?
Yeah.
And how close did you get with them?
All right, so I mentioned Wildman's first visit.
Yes.
Wildman opened a lot of doors for me because, like I mentioned about my anxiety and stuff, wherever he goes, people take notice. He's 25, 26 stone. I'm trying to think what the American equivalent of that is now. Maybe like 250, 300 pounds. His nose is pointing over here. His fists are twice the size of mine. He's just got all human teeth marks all over his knuckles. So at these apartment parties we were throwing in the early ecstasy days, he'd have like Russian mobsters coming up, Mexican gangsters coming over, transgender, Native Americans, street gangbangers, just this eclectic mix of people. And that's how I got to meet all these different people. Now, at one of these apartment parties, I was supplying the ecstasy, and this ruggedly handsome Mexican American guy shows up with long dark hair, prison tattoos on his arms, and he's supplying the coke and the weed. So as we're both the suppliers, we start chilling and talking, and a Tempe policeman walks in. He goes, "I could smell weed from outside. Nobody move." So G-Dog, the Mexican American guy's name is, and I've never seen anything like this before, just whips out his gun, points at the cop's head, says, "The only one who's not leaving is you, motherfucker. Everybody run." So I'm like, holy fuck, I'm just like, shit. We're all gonna get arrested now. I've got drugs on me. So we all just ran off into the night, basically. Now, this was a huge apartment complex called Rancho Murrieta in Tempe, Arizona. It's got all these other buildings. And as part of my organization, when I had people in apartments, we would structure apartment complexes. So like the drugs are here, the cash is here in another apartment, and protection is over here in another apartment. So if anything went off, we could move everything around very quickly. So I went off into one of these other apartments, and all hell's breaking loose now. Police, sirens, and so we're all in there thinking, cops are gonna come. Should we flush our stuff? Next thing, bang, 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 bang on the French window. Is it the cops? We open the French window. It's G-Dog. He's like, let me in. So he says, the police haven't got a warrant. He schooled us. They can't come in without a warrant. They haven't seen me coming here. Turn the lights off. Everybody shut the up. Nobody move. If they come, just don't open the door. So we were debating whether to flush the drugs or not. And he's like, don't sweat it. So he was right. The cops came and they knocked on the door. We didn't answer. They went next door. They went all over the complex. And at the end of the night, I said to him, look, because you're so hot here, why don't you come over to a house I've got in Phoenix? So that's what we did, and he stayed there. And then he said, Shaun, because you and your friends had my back, me and my brothers have got your back. I had no idea what that meant. So a couple of months later, he goes, my brother wants to meet you. So I go over to this street in Tempe. They got all these low-rider fancy show cars on the street. Go to the front door. His brother's like, short guy, no hair, wife beater on, shorts down to here, just looking up at me with this mean face. Then he hears me speaking, he's like, damn, you talk funny, homie. He's like, I guess you are from England. Come through and meet my homies. So I go into the living room with G-Dog, and there's all these massive tattooed Mexican-American guys. They've got the chains on. They're looking at me like they want to eat me. Like, who is this guy? They've got like guns, AKs, mini machine guns, slabs of crystal meth, slabs of cocaine, weighing scales. I'm looking around the room, see the biggest TV I've ever seen. They've got a little screen watching all the comings and goings on the street. And I'm like, holy shit, that's not an ornament. I saw that in a Rambo movie. A rocket propelled grenade launcher on the TV. Yeah. So I'm thinking these guys are heavy duty, and I was always nervous every time I went over there. Except for one time they said, look, our women are coming over and we're going to have an ecstasy party and we're going to try your stuff out. So I went over there. Oh, going back to the first time, one of them actually swung a spoonful of coke in my face that first time. And he's like, snort this. And I'm looking over at G, he's like, yeah, snort it, just to see if I was a cop, And that guy, I won't say his name, but when I did learn who they were, that guy was actually a hitman was putting in quite a lot of work at that point in time. Yeah. So they say we're having this ecstasy party, and I go over in the night because they've run out of pills, and they're all on ecstasy for the first time. But these guys, when I got over there, like these big, sweaty, overgrown teddy bears, picking me up, bear hugging me, England, man, we love your pills, trying to tell me their life stories. But every time I went over there after that, it was back to that lethal atmosphere. Now, the only way I learned who they was because years later, I was dropping G-Dog off one night and the whole neighborhood was blacked out. The police were out with light ones guiding traffic. As we pull up to the house, federal SWAT team are bringing all these guys out in handcuffs. And we just kept going. And it was news headlines that night. New Mexican Mafia, most powerful, violent criminal organization in Arizona. They tried to assassinate the head of the Department of Corrections, the prison system. They were taking out witnesses, police, all kinds. So the good thing that came about was my debts were in the hundreds of thousands and people knew I was clicked up with them. And the money started to come in a little bit faster. Yeah.
So that was your experience with the